Right, hiya. Welcome to, what was it, episode 9? No, Clark.
Must be something like that.
You've not been in that.
I was going to say, yeah.
I'll look a little bit. A little bit different what we've decided to do this week for the podcast. And we've got Dave, who, as well as being my brother-in-law and Josh's uncle, also has a bit of a YouTube series, so Run Like a T-Rex. If you're not already following, you're missing out.
If you want to go see someone who's not very good at running, presenting, or at video editing, I'm your man. Like,
it's the intent that counts.
A for effort.
Yeah. So I mean, normally we try and make. I think that a lot of it we want it to everything we do on here to try and be a little bit light-hearted, a little bit daft, and talking about some of the stupid things that have happened to us as being taller guys. But I think this week's probably a little bit different in terms of we decided. I always wanted to do an episode around like men's mental health, but it seems like a pretty good time to sort of talk about that kind of thing at the moment. Obviously, at the time of filming this, we're a couple of days after the great Ricky the Hitman Hatton passed away sort of recently, and although don't know at this point the sort of circumstances around his passing, it's been sort of pretty well documented over time that he had some struggles with sort of mental health. So it felt like as good a time as any to talk about it. And they say the stats around sort of suicide and stuff like that in men, especially sort of in that sort of 30 to 50 bracket is ridiculous, is frightening at the moment. So I think if we can do anything, if this podcast was kind of set up to do anything, it's to have a positive impact, and that's what I think we'll try and do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sort of if we can. That's kind of the hope for this one. So yeah, no getting stuck in Morris Minors this week, but maybe something a little bit more impactful. So thanks for coming, Dave. Really appreciate you coming.
I'm honoured as the resident short ass.
Yeah.
It's going to be called Jumping Through Doorways.
The average height's gone down.
Yeah, Dave doesn't qualify for our cool tall persons club.
I wouldn't qualify if I identified as a woman. So not that I'm bitter.
That's very true.
Yeah. So So I'm doing it for the 5'11" short kings. Yeah.
Sure. 5'11" being short is still. I mean, even as big as I am, it still seems ridiculous. But there we go.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, mental health, men's mental health. Talk to me. What do you reckon? So,
well, I think first of all, I saw. Well, you didn't. I was about to say all of us three, but you actually didn't. We went to the football on Saturday. I think at half time, it was, they brought something up on the screen about men's mental health, with it being the month, and they said on it, I think there's more deaths per year from men committing suicide than there is from cancer and road accidents put together.
Is that right?
Which I think is like just insane. Like, that is horrendous.
I know the stats are ridiculous.
We're light years behind. It's 12 in the UK. It's 12 a day, so 84 a week, which is mental. Like, think about 84 people. You know,
one every 2 hours. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
And then you think. Obviously, I have a bit of a unique in terms of being ex-armed forces. The armed forces community is losing 75 people a year.
Yeah.
So that's losing a squadron a year of people.
Is that men and women?
Men and women.
Yeah.
Serving and veterans. British have kind of been historically very stiff upper lip. And are light years behind on stuff. And kind of swept it under the carpet a little bit in terms of it wasn't really an issue. Just, crack on sort of thing. The Americans were well hot on it, because they realised that after Vietnam, they lost more members of their armed forces community through suicide after the war than died in the war.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Bearing in mind they lost over 100,000 people in Vietnam. Like that, to put that in perspective, like the sheer numbers of it. Like, so they've obviously they've still got a major issue. They're losing 1,000 a year through suicide. Again, men and women. I know there's a bit of a focus, a bit more around the men's side, but obviously women are suffering too. It's horrible just looking at numbers, because each of those people is a person.
Not just a statistic.
No, it's like I saw Campbell Hatton's post about his dad that he put on Instagram earlier.
I saw that. Yeah.
And it's just like I can't imagine having to put that on about like my dad, or I can't imagine Eddie having to put it on about me or something. It's just,
you sort of relate it back to that, don't you? It's just,
I always think with it, like, to lose anybody for any reason is bad enough. For it to be from yourself and for like because of your mental health, it's just so much worse. Like I know it's bad anyway, but to lose somebody for your own reasons and not like an illness or like anything like that is just that just shouldn't happen. Like it's horrible.
There's so many stupid ways that people can die through various bits and pieces, through falling over at work, or like an allergic reaction to something they've never had before or something like that. But then you think, on top of that, like they've managed to avoid all that, and it's like it's been this, it's taken it. But obviously that's the kind of the very extreme angle, is people who are suffering with bits and pieces throughout the day, who aren't taking their own lives, thankfully, but are still suffering. Just it's.
I think, like you say, we're behind a lot in this country. I was thinking, if I look back to like when I was a kid, when I was growing up, and it was still like it was the war generation that were kind of in charge of the country. Most people that had sort of senior positions doing anything had been alive certainly during the Second World War, and it was always like you say, it was that there's no such thing as mental health, no mental health issues in those days. And then you watch sort of old film of the war, and you see these poor guys come back with what was known as shell shock. At the time, you think, well, there was.
It's just a severe mental health issue, isn't it?
We just at that time didn't have any idea.
I don't think, in terms of shell shock,
well,
I think they view that as a physical health issue, in terms of it's just your body's reaction to. It's obviously it's a very loud noise that's gone off next to you, and that's sort of
it's made you a little bit deaf and
shooks you up a little bit and all that kind of stuff. But it'll go and you'll be fine. Crack on, sort of.
But
thing.
It feels to me like it wasn't until, certainly from like stuff like if you think of things like PTSD, I don't think it feels to me like I don't think that had ever been something that had been talked about or anything until probably Afghan, like the sort of first conflict in Iraq and Afghanistan were kind of
early 2000s.
well underway, and the guys were coming back. Particularly military people, were coming back in a bad way. It was there might be something in this, but it was always that kind of just get on with it, Yeah. And you think, well,
yeah.
I think with the stats, I wish there was stats for people like how many like different things people have said. So like Tyson Fury, for example, with how like just far gone he was, and then to come back the way he did. I wish there was a stat to find out like how many people he saved. Do you know, like just through the story and just to like there's a person that like did it sort of thing. Like,
so I think
they're
for him,
probably worse off than you in that. So it's like, so you can do it as well, like sort of thing. You never know that sort of thing, but I imagine how bad it would be if there wasn't people like that around. And I know there's loads of examples. He's just the first
just
one
chance encounters, isn't it, as well? Like there was a guy that was going to jump off the bridge into the Thames, and was sitting on the edge, and it just so happened a bloke. Like you walk around London, you see it all the time, in any major city really. People who are busy, they're just thinking, I need to go catch my tube. I'm late for my meeting. I need to. Oh crap! I've got to London. I haven't told my missus I've got here safely or whatever. Who were just sort of in their own little world because everyone's busy, and it's this one chance encounter. This bloke. So, are you okay? Like the power in that, like 3 words. And he's kind of come round to the point. It just so happened it was a complete stranger who had the empathy and time to go and ask him. And that's now
there's a story of the guy in America. He jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and he survived. He tried to kill himself by jumping off it, and somehow, I don't know how,
that's incredible.
But he somehow survived. I think he broke his leg.
He broke a lot of things.
I think he like really smashed
concrete at that height.
I think he really smashed up his leg, and then, like you said, broke everything else. But I think he now runs an organisation for men's mental health, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he like tells a story about it, and like why you shouldn't do it. He basically goes around telling people why you shouldn't do that sort of thing, and like campaigning for that, and says that he's been in the moment. He's clearly had the feeling of why he needs to do something like that because he tried it. And now looks back and says like he can't believe that was his situation, and so realistically he shouldn't be here to be able to tell that story anyway. Yeah. But I just think it's crazy that people get to that point. But
and I always wonder whether there's a bit of a
so common.
There's a bit of a sort of thought of like people don't say anything because don't want to be thought of as being weak.
Well, that's the stigma, isn't it? It's the
Yeah,
weak. It's
with that
word.
stereotype where I'm supposed to be tough. I'm a bloke. But then you look at like you mentioned like Tyson Fury, and his story. And again, if you haven't read like Tyson Fury's book, whether you like Tyson Fury or not, his book is brilliant. Particularly from sort of what the type of thing we're talking about today. And the other person I always think about is Foxy.
Foxy, yeah, what a bloke.
Jason Fox, like the ex Special Forces, like.
He's got severe PTSD, hasn't he?
Yeah,
but
Jason Carl Fox. It's 10 years in the SBS and another like 12 or whatever. In the
but you look at him and you think probably one of the toughest, fittest, hardest, bravest, whatever you want to call it. He's up there at the
ultimate
top.
man's man.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, probably one of our top elite military people for a big portion of his life.
Yeah.
And was on the verge of
struggles with mental health.
With mental health, and sort of I think in his book he talks about being sat on the top of the White Cliffs of Dover, thinking about chucking himself over the edge, and you think someone like that, and then he opens up in his book and you think that's brilliant that he's done that, but you think for someone like him, as tough and as well trained and as brave and heroic and whatever else you want to call him that he was, even it affected him too. So none of us are immune to it.
Yeah,
I think that's probably something we need to get over as like probably in this country and as like as blokes in general, is that no one's immune to it.
Yeah, I think
mental
it's
health
good.
can come out of nowhere.
It's a good.
Like
Obviously,
bad mental health.
It's bad that those people went through it, but it's good that there are more and more cases now of people that have like figures like that, like Jason Fox and Tyson Fury and Ricky Hatton, for an example, like. He's four-time world champion boxer. It's like you get punched in the head for a living. It's like you still struggle with mental health issues. I think there's enough cases now to show that it's not weak people that get mental health issues. Like there's a lot of people around that have proven they're tough people and still get it.
Because it's not a weakness thing. It's a chemical imbalance. Like
exactly.
It's like you wouldn't say someone was weak because they caught cancer or. Anything, it's something they haven't controlled. Like, it's obviously the very, very clear distinction between mental health and mental illness in terms of, but people who get to that level, there is a mental illness who need to get, properly seen through a medical professional who is able to support. But obviously that's a very extreme case. But there's the bits that people need to make sure that they don't reach those bits where they, the community and all the positive like habits and things that you can try and do to try and.
Yeah, I think trying to control your mental health, if you've got like bad mental health issues, is like going to a football game and trying to control what the players are doing on the pitch. It's like no matter how hard you try, sometimes there's stuff you can do to help it. Like you can cheer the players on, and like there's things you can do to help your mental health. But no matter how hard you try, sometimes you physically can't control it, can you?
You may as well go outside and try and blow the clouds in the other direction.
Well, exactly. There's nothing you can do.
Well, they always say, I think talking about it is the first thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of the time before that, it's like admitting that there's a problem.
Sure, yeah.
A lot of the time, because a lot of people just are so down and just won't admit it. Once you've admitted it, it's then so much easier to talk about it.
I think it's
let your pride aside.
I think sometimes I don't think it's always that. I think there's an element that people don't want to be a burden or
don't make a fuss.
It's like people are busy. They don't have the time to worry about me. I should be able to look after myself, sort of thing. And they're the last thing they need to be worrying about. And it's.
But I was thinking, is that something has that got worse? I know we can't blame COVID and can't blame the pandemic on everything, but I always wonder if that's something that's got worse now. We're probably more secular and like more isolated now than we've been probably ever as communities. Yeah. So you think, does that not help?
Yeah, and I think the sort of the improvement in technology. You always say like the world is as small as it's ever going to be now because it's such a small world. Because it's so easy to contact people. It's so easy to stay on your own and not do because you feel like you're having that contact, and it's just not the same. It's you can't underappreciate the community aspects of stuff and just the value of being surrounded by people. I see they've come out with a thing today where obviously there's introverts and extroverts. They've now agreed there's a third one,
Right.
which is an introvert. So that is somebody who likes being surrounded by other people, but they don't particularly like chaos or being loud. They just feel safe and secure and like being.
Yeah.
They don't even have to be saying anything, but just being in the presence of people they feel safe with. And I think that kind of halfway ground. You see the kind of extremes.
A lot of people probably fall into that.
Yeah, and it's I mean, obviously people with hybrid working and all that kind of stuff. It's really easy for people to feel isolated.
I think with the internet as well, as much as it is a great thing and it is a terrible thing at the same time, but as well as that, for the mental health side of thing, you can compare yourself to people so easily because you don't post anything. I don't post anything on Instagram really at all, but for people that do, you're only seeing their profile of things that they post. No one ever posts anything negative. It's like, here's me taking the bins out, and then I've just tripped over, and then I've just had a bad day at work. It's all those people's just best things, and when they're the happiest, so you compare yourself to that, and they're like, well, what's the point? Because I'll never be as happy as that, or I'll never achieve that, and it's like, well, that's just their like snippets of what you want to see. Like for example, on my Instagram, I think one of the only things on there is my basketball highlight reel. Well, in my highlight reel, I don't miss.
Yeah.
so it's like, but
you don't turn up to training, you don't commit any fouls.
I think my Charnwood highlight tip is on there, and in that highlight tip, obviously, I don't miss and I don't do anything wrong. I think that season, I shot 44% from 3. So it's like, I actually got less in than I missed.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's an example of like, you only see people doing amazing stuff on social media, where that's only a snippet of their life that you get to see. And comparing that to yourself is why people's mental health go down from that sort of thing.
The whole comparison is a thief of joy, but also you're comparing your lowlights to other people's highlights.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
and I think with the working situation, well, I'm similar to you. I work hybrid, so a lot of the time, probably 80% of my working life now, I work from home. So unless I'm on a meeting or unless I like call one of my colleagues, I could sit here all day and not speak to anybody until SJ or Josh or someone gets home from work. Whereas historically, when my job previously, when it was an office-based job, you'd have a coffee together. There might be a couple of you that go for lunch together, so you'd pick up on like,
you just get the
chat. He doesn't seem quite right.
Yeah,
today. He's a bit quieter, or he's a bit different to normal. I think we miss. I think certainly in my job, we miss that bit where it's kind of,
you can't see the changes in behaviour.
Yeah.
Because it can be little minor things, can't it? It's like someone's not doing their usual habit or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It can be minor things.
Because you know what it's like. Yeah, you sit on a big Teams meeting where it's a meeting where you know I've got to be sat on this for 2 hours, but I'm not going to contribute in any way. It's just for me to sit and listen to. The camera's off, the mic's muted. You don't even know if people are paying attention, if they're doing the laundry, watching the telly, making the lunch.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, left the laptop on and gone out. Like, so you don't know if it's harder to tell. I think.
Don't know how people react to what you say.
If somebody's struggling.
Because I always see it from because I work in the sort of the front end of business, so like the more salesy type stuff, and I've seen it in terms of it's a lot more difficult to build. I've kind of focused on the customer relationships. It's really difficult to build those relationships because one, it's more on Teams than it would be in person. But because of that and the way that everybody has Teams meetings that are back to back to back, gets to the end of the meeting and you go, yeah, cheers guys, see you next time, leave. And then it's like, I've got 1 minute before I go into my next one. They join the next meeting. Whereas there's so much built in terms of the first 5 minutes when you're making a cup of tea with somebody, or the 5 minutes at the end of a meeting. Oh, just while I've got you, that kind of, those sorts of things from a sales and like business relationship. But you lose that in terms of, I always have it in terms of going and asking people how they are and all that kind of stuff. And when you go and make a cup of tea, I'm quite lucky that I'm able to do that because the tea making bit is literally right next to where I sit. So I see people all coming past and stuff. So I can kind of keep on top of that side of things, which I try and do anyway because I'm the mental health lead at work. So it's trying to acutely aware of trying to do that. And I've got guys at the minute who his dad is had a very severe health issue. So it's been, despite the fact he's on hybrid working, he's been working from home for the last 3 weeks. So I've made a conscious decision. I'm going to phone him every day and it's like, no, your camera's going on, and we're going to have essentially a face-to-face conversation, but he's in Warwick and I'm in Cov sort of thing.
Yeah.
We're doing it that way.
Yeah.
I just need to make sure that they're okay, and we don't talk about work. Like, if I'm going to call you about work, I'm going to call you about work, but I'm going to call like you, like that side of things.
I think it's a massively underrated tool as well. I think when you do stuff at work and you think, just give people, if I go in for a training day, for example, you give people 10, 15 minutes, have a coffee, and I think there's so much value in that because it's got, like you say, it's got absolutely nothing to do with work. It's easy for people in senior positions, or what we're doing it for, what are you standing around having a coffee for? Actually,
you think that
you're giving people community, you're building relationships.
You don't know how much of an impact that 10 minutes of conversation might have had on somebody. You don't know how that might have tipped their day into the opposite direction all of a sudden.
And it's the other things as well. If you're asking somebody, we did some emotional intelligence training at work, which was really interesting. And one of the questions we now ask people is, are you above the line or below the line? And essentially that is kind of, are you okay? Or if you had, you've had one of those mornings where the milkman's not delivered, you've run out of milk, you've not had your morning brew, you then got stuck in traffic, the kids haven't put their shoes on in time in the morning, all that kind of stuff, and you like, you know what, I'm below I am not in the right headspace to come up with a problem to come up with a solution to a problem, to get the best out of me. And it's a very simple thing in terms of, if you are like, okay, is there anything I can help with, or is it just you just need to get yourself out of the headspace and have 10 minutes yourself and a cup of tea, where you're something other than mum, dad, brother, husband, wife, whatever it might be, to get yourself back into that. And people kind of go up and down like that during the day, and it's kind of natural. If you've got people you work with, you're not always going to like. You've got interactions. You've got certain things within your role that they're the bits you don't particularly like doing. They might be a bit more confrontational or all those sorts of things. So I think understanding that, I think there's a value in that sort of thing. It's not just about making sure they're okay. It's for the benefit of whatever team you work in. It could be a team sport, or if someone's not turning up to train and they're not in the headspace for it, it's like
Yes. And I think sometimes with talking about it, like some people, like you were saying, with asking people like if they're okay whilst like making a coffee or something like that, some people won't just jump into conversation about it. Some people need to be like pushed. Like I'm that type of person. Like some people need to be asked, like, are you okay? They never just come up to you. So someone might be comfortable enough to have a conversation with you about it. They would have never brought it up first. Like there's just no way. Where as soon as you ask that, are you okay? Suddenly you might be chatting to someone about it for half an hour, and it's like, that's just. I think that's another reason why people struggle to talk about it, because they won't bring it up first. I think that's probably more common than it is.
Well, I think it's interesting because one of the sort of talking points I had on here is like, what can we do about it? And I think that, are you above the line or below the line, is really simple, because one of the things you said earlier is people don't want to feel like they're a burden. They don't want to unload all their issues. Whereas if you just say, I'm a bit below the line at the minute, you've not burdened anybody with your problems, you've not unloaded anything, but it's a really simple way of going, not okay at the minute, just need to...
It's a politer way of saying, and tell someone to jog on, leave me alone, I'm not in the mood. It can be,
just need to go and...
If you wanted this to be a productive interaction, just give me 5 or whatever, and I'll come and find you, sort of thing. I think it's the... it all starts with talking and like just trying to be a bit more understanding. You've got no idea what people have got going on. So if you can try and be a bit more understanding. Be patient with yourself would be a kick-off. I'm the worst one. I'm nice to just about everybody apart from myself. And it's the thing I've always struggled from being a teenager, and always like struggling with like self-esteem and all that kind of stuff. And you kind of think, if somebody else was saying the things I'm saying in my head to myself, I'd want to knock their head off.
I always think that. I always think that every time.
And it's like, from a perspective like, and I spoke quite openly about this. I did a video on mental health awareness. So if you want to go, not to plug my own YouTube channel, but
do it.
Go and,
it'll be in the description anyway.
Go and watch that. I always struggled with self-esteem as a kid. It took probably 8 or 9 years of being married to Nate before I even opened up to her about it. To the point where people used to think I was rude because I'd walk into a room and not speak to people. if I have what I call a cloud day, which is essentially where I'm below the line and I'm in that real negative headspace, I will not speak to people because I think I'll genuinely ruin their day if I speak to them.
Yeah.
And it, you know, and I've been quite lucky. I've not had any real like major mental health issues at all or whatever. But it's something that I've had that I'm constantly trying to work on and be aware of. I don't go to my work's Christmas parties because I think people will have a better time if I'm not there. Because as soon as somebody's not talking to me, in my head, everyone's thinking, look at the loser that no one wants to speak to.
Yeah.
I cannot cope with
you
it.
You sort of catastrophise it in your brain straight away.
So, yeah, it's... What does it say? They say about it's easy for everyone to think, oh, the next generation has got it easy, the previous generation are dinosaurs and don't have any... But I think it's like... They say it takes a village, but our sort of generation, we're the only ones that don't come with the village.
Yeah.
Because we're in a generation where our parents have had to work and all that kind of stuff, and like you're both, you know, 2 income families because it needs 2 incomes and all that kind of stuff, and everyone is then so busy that you don't then have that support network around. And that's just not about stuff in terms of childcare, where it does come in handy, don't get me wrong, but it's just that, your team, like the people who you're gonna keep an eye out for them. You think, I've not spoken to them for a little while. Just check in with them. You've got to have those sort of honest conversations. You know, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to be constantly. And how's your mental health? Just feeling
just
like
phoning you to speak about your mental health. Are you okay?
It's a bit like the barriers when you go bowling. Most of the time, you probably, as a grown up, you're probably not going to need them.
You're having a good day.
But they can, but they're there if you do need them, and I think that's kind of what people just feeling like they need that.
I think sometimes with feeling like a burden as well. I was just thinking to myself then, like, if someone came up to me in public and like wanted to have a random conversation about something, part of me would be like, can you really be asked? If someone came up to me and started talking about like a problem they had or something, I would immediately be like up for a conversation about it, and like suddenly my whole thing like, you actually need that. Where it's like, if someone wanted to come up and try and have a conversation with me about how like Man United are better than somebody, or I just like,
they're clearly unwell.
I can't be asked for that. Like, I don't want a conversation about it, but I think it's starting to get better in terms of all the stigmas around and stuff with mental health starting to be spoken about more. I think one thing that's getting better with the whole burden side of it is because I think everyone or most people feel like that, it's starting to be seen as common to feel like that. So it's like, well, if I feel like a burden speaking about it, and so do you, and so do you, and it's like, so does he, and so does he, and it's like, well, everyone will just listen to each other then. So it's like, it fixes that problem in some ways.
And that's something I think that gets lost sometimes. I think in a world, and I think you were saying earlier, like, the younger generation have got it easier. I'm glad I'm not part of the younger generation, because I think they've got it fucking way harder.
Oh yeah. I'm glad I didn't grow up with a smartphone.
Oh my word. Yeah.
Like if you're having trouble with someone at school, like you didn't see them until 9 o'clock the following morning. It was fine. But now with Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and anything else, the risk of sounding like a complete old granddad.
Yeah.
But they are inescapable in terms of, you know.
But I think in these days,
there's no end, is there?
No.
There's no end point.
But I think in these days where everything is becoming like more and more polarised all the time, and it's, whether you're talking sort of from a political point of view, whatever it is, everything's becoming more and more polarised, and you're either right over this side or you're right over this side. I think something gets lost, and like you said it just then, we're more similar to each other than we think we are.
Yeah.
And there's almost like, if I'm going through this, if I'm having a rough day, the chances are someone else is too, or someone, and it hasn't got to be sort of. It's easy to sit there and think, well, it's probably only a trained professional that can sort me out and get me out of this. Actually, no. Having a conversation with a mate or a colleague or whoever it is about nothing in particular, but kind of talking about some of those issues, it probably helps more than any £100 an hour psychologist
with
would
mental
do.
health as well. And like you say, with like being similar to people, it's like I saw a post about this the other day, so it's not necessarily my own words, but I saw this guy was talking about how when you meet people, you might you'd be lucky if you have one thing in common. Some people you might have two. With your mates you might have up to 5 like things in common that you like to speak about. I think everyone at least has in common with everybody else that at some point you have a drop in mental health.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that everyone on the planet can relate to. It's probably the only thing. If you think like we've all got something in common because we like sport, for example, but I might be in a room with somebody and that's the only thing you have in common. And it's like that's how common mental health issues are. That it's the only thing that can link everybody. I thought that was cool. It's like
we're all like I say, it doesn't choose.
Thing.
It's not something you catch.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it from a sort of military sort of veterans or serving soldiers and whatever point of view. You think, well, you can rationalise like why it might happen because you think, you go back to people like Jason Fox. You think you've been in some situations actually in real life that I'd be too scared to watch on the telly.
Yeah.
And you've had to actually physically be in there, so I can understand why that sort of that might have had the effect on you that it's had. But you think, for some of the rest of it, I'm just going to stop.
Are we still rolling? Huh?
Yeah, and we're back in the room. So I was conscious. I thought everything had gone wrong, but no, we're talking about sort of what effectively what we can do and what other people can do about mental health. I think I've said if this podcast can be anything, A, it can be a bit of fun, and B, it can be a driver for sort of a little bit of positivity out there. Like to try and have fun as much as we can. So always encourage people to interact with us, talk to us, drop a comment with the email address and everything like that will be in the
description.
In the description. For sure. The social media, we're on Facebook. Duckin Thru Doorways is on Facebook now, so get in touch with us.
I think as well, I know this is like the basic things I have in there when you listen to anything with mental health, but in the description there's just going to be a list of phone numbers and websites as well. Yeah. So we'll put that all in like one little section if you are ever needing that, because I think you always hear a lot about those, like the websites and the phone numbers, but I don't think many people would actually know them. Like I couldn't really name straight off the top of my head a list of websites, because there's so many specific ones nowadays for like certain little bits of like mental health. I'm going to drop loads in the
I haven't got my
description.
My wallet on me, but I did as part of all new starters now at my place. I've done a credit card size on PowerPoint, and on one side it's got the mobile phone numbers and names of the mental health first aiders at work, and on the other side it's got the phone numbers for Samaritans, Calm, and oh god, one of the other ones, I can't remember who it was. Oh god, who was it? Mind.
Mind, yeah.
Which ironically I forgot. So and it's but I've intentionally made it and like printed it out, laminated it, and I've given it now that so everyone's got it it fits in their wallet, because I've had it before where people have literally phoned my work phone in the evening in terms of I'm in the pub and I've come across this person who's struggling. I've no idea what to do, and I've basically had to talk them through it, sort of thing, in terms of like you're not diagnosing someone, but in terms of just how to help them. And but I think there's a lot to be said in terms of what you can do to help yourself as well. So when you are struggling with stuff, so like we put. I had a guy asked me the other day when I was making a cup of tea. He came up and I've got literally where people make a cup of tea, because it's probably the best place to distract people when they're sat waiting for the tea to brew or whatever. Things you can do in terms of, I do it seasonally, so things you can do, particularly this time of year when it starts getting a bit naff, just to look after yourself during the winter sort of thing, when it gets a bit cold, dark, and you don't see people as often. And he was looking through, he's like, okay, that makes, what does that mean? And I was able to talk him through, I was like, I'm really glad we've sort of had this conversation, because he's now in a position where he goes, people understanding what they're doing for their own well-being and why, and like emphasising that, I think it'd do. You know, if you think about it, it's like what you do for your physical health in terms of trying to get enough sleep, eat well, exercise, all that kind of stuff. That's all going to help with your mental health as well, because you're going to be in a better headspace, and it can be just whatever it is that you enjoy. It can be listening to music, playing music, if you're a musician, reading, drawing, colouring in, exercising, walking the dog, whatever it is. just something that you enjoy that allows you to disconnect from all the nonsense that you hear left, right, and centre.
Yeah,
will do wonders for you.
I mean, if I sat here and spoke about like my number one point with what I'd say for what people can do would always be exercise of like some description. For me, it's playing basketball, going to the gym. I would go mental if I didn't have those two things. Yeah. But I've got to be doing one of those two things pretty much every day. I just lose my mind.
Yeah.
But I think it gives you like a goal as well. Like there's always something to work towards. For example, you have your running. So it's like, say 5k for example for somebody. If you go out and run a 5k tomorrow and you do it in 40 minutes, say to yourself that this time next year you're going to run it in 25. And it's like you've constantly got something to wake up and like go for. Do you know? So for example, for me, if I said I said the other day in the gym, I think by my birthday, which is at the end of June, I'm going to bench 100 kilos. So if I ever feel like down or like I don't want to do anything, I've always got in the back of my mind, well, there's the goal that like if I don't get up and get on it for, it's just not going to happen, sort of thing. So it's like I always think the same with basketball. If I ever felt like not going to training or something, it's like, well, you've got a game at the weekend. If you don't train, you're not going to play very well. And then it's like, so you've got to get like. I think it's just something to get off. If I sat here, like I said, and spoke about what I think the mental health benefits are of exercise, I would be here. That's a whole different episode for me, because I could just go on about it forever.
One of the biggest things, and I think I'm quite a staunch advocate of, is finding your movement. So find the exercise that you actually want to do and you enjoy.
Yeah.
So it doesn't like if you hate running, as much as like I would advocate like running is great. The community is incredible. If you join a running club or anything like that, they're brilliant. Go down to park run. But if you hate running, you're not going to want to go out for a run.
Yeah.
But if you like walking, or you like spinning, or you like swimming, or you like
lifting
aerobics,
weights.
Yoga, Pilates, whatever it might be, or lifting weights.
So even something like walking the dog or gardening.
Walking the dog,
exercise,
gardening,
you know.
movement, anything that's getting your heart rate a little bit elevated. You don't have to be looking like you've just done the Marathon des Sables. Like it's just got to be something that gets your blood pumping, gets your body moving, gets you going through your joints and all that kind of stuff. And it's something you enjoy. Like that's the key one.
I think because there's like I came with the basic one of like exercise because it's true, and there's like scientific backups to that. But I'm also like a massive advocate, a bit of an outsider one, you don't hear much, of spending more time with your hobbies. So if you've got any hobbies, no matter how much time they took up, how serious they are, whatever, just do them more because they're clearly a thing that make you happy. Like if you've got a hobby of collecting things or reading things or like playing something or
even if do more. Is
that escapism?
Do more of it. Yeah, like do more of the things that like you clearly enjoy that. Like if you're a bit of a weirdo like me and find like football cards and stuff like cool at like the age of like 21 and stuff, do it. Like it's clearly something you enjoy. You don't realise the effect that spending more time with your hobbies can actually do for you. Like luckily for me, that's also stuff like basketball and going to the gym, so it ties in nicely with the other one. But it's like
if you're a stamp collector, crack on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I also think it's that escapism, isn't it? I think life's difficult. It's tough. We live in an era where lots of things about being a person in the world we live in at the moment are hard. So, like you say, if painting or going to the gym or whatever is, I'm a big advocate for. I hate running with an absolute passion, but I do love going to the gym, and it's great because like on those days where you feel a little bit below the line, as you call it, and I'm very similar to you in that I always think if I'm having one of those days where things are a bit low, I don't want to get in touch with anybody or speak to anybody at work or anything, just in case they realise I'm a fucking idiot. You know, it's one of those things. But if I'm in that kind of mood or I'm in that kind of place, I always think I can go to the gym. If I want to lift, or you can take all your anger out on that, and the weights don't mind. Like the sort of machines that you're using,
you can
don't care if you sort of get a little bit angry and a little bit aggressive with them. They're okay with it.
Leg day solves a multiple of
things. Yeah, and I think the other thing that, as it was sort of talking about all of this kind of stuff, is nothing we've talked about is rocket science. Everything's like it's quite simple, and I think it's stuff that anyone can do. We're not talking about having to take some sort of prescription medication or doing anything that's going and seeing a £500 an hour psychiatrist. It's
therapists and all
talking
that,
talking to your mates, talking to people that you're close to a lot of the time.
I think just with like stuff you can, like, we've got a point that says like, what can you do? And obviously we've all just like spoke about stuff, but it's like, just do something. Like, just anything.
Yeah.
If you are struggling with mental health, don't do nothing. Anything is fine. If you like playing golf, or like if you hate X, or just do anything. Like, anything's just better than nothing, because then doing nothing is when it ends up then leading to bad stuff happens, and then you end up like, that's why the statistics of stuff are so bad, because they might be people that did nothing, and it's like, well, please don't be one of those people, because there are anything you can do about it. There is anything you can do about it. So.
Yeah, but I think it always starts with talking, doesn't it? Whatever we do, whatever we're talking about, it starts with talking, because as much as people want to help, people want to talk to you, none of us are mind readers. So
and you
don't know
we
can't know anything about it.
Like, you might be like, one of the guys I helped at work was really struggling, and the last thing, so I work in timber frame construction, the last thing you want is a guy who's really inside his head while operating a nail gun for 8 hours a day. Because shit will happen.
That's dangerous.
And we've basically sat there stewing because he was worried about his son, who had a feeling was autistic, didn't feel like he was getting the support he needed from his GP or his nursery. Came to speak to me as the mental health lead, whose wife is an early years teacher who specialises in special educational needs.
Good combo.
And he's like, I was like, right, okay, what are the issues? So I was like, right, okay, I'm not gonna mention your name or anything like that, but I'm fairly certain you can do this, this, and this. Let me just double check with the wife. Phoned the wife. Within 10 minutes, she'd sent me a WhatsApp list of about 17 million things in terms of, go speak to this person and do this, that, and the other. And he's like, he had no idea that solution was even a thing. And that's a quite like unique and specific example. But you know the old adage of a problem shared is a problem halved. You've no idea just having somebody else's perspective on it in terms of, and they're not just going to go. They're not going to kind of gaslight you in terms of you think you've got problems. Like, if they do that, then they're an arsehole, and that's a reflection on them, not you. It's like just having other people's perspective on things, and it all come with different life experience and stuff like that might be able to help. And then all of a sudden you're like, once that problem is solved, it's like, then you think about it and think, most things are all right. Things can be difficult and all that kind of stuff, but there's a lot of positives that you've got as well in terms of your health, your family, your friends, whatever. Sometimes just taking stock in that sometimes I think can be just having a bit of gratitude for where you are in life. Like, you might not have everything, but the things you have got, if suddenly that wasn't there anymore, you'd really value it. So just taking that.
With that as well, like, another point on what can you do is like just be a little bit nicer to yourself. Like, I think
be kind.
I think I did a lot of stuff when I was at Chalmers with like sports psychology, and a lot of it was about the way you speak to yourself whilst you're playing. And so I don't know if you ever did anything, or if you ever done anything with that, but like a lot of it was about like, positive self-talk, things that you say to yourself. It just happens to be around sport, but it links into outer life more than it links into sport. And I always think to myself, like, some of the things I've said to myself whilst playing basketball, like insane.
My teammates would hate me.
Like you said earlier, like if someone on the sideline had said that to me after like doing something bad, it'd be like outrageous. That someone had said that. It's like, but you said that to yourself, so just like be a bit nicer to yourself.
It's that thing, isn't it? If you tell a person they're an idiot often enough, eventually they'll believe it. And it's the same with yourself. You tell yourself you're an idiot, tell yourself you're worthless, you're this, that, and the other. Eventually, you'll start to believe it. Even though it isn't true.
I think there's a real value in, and it's not just in terms of mental health thing. I think just life in terms of, if you treat yourself, your future self, like your best friend. So you in terms of that, having the discipline of giving up what you want now for what you actually want later, and that can be anything from, do you know what, I'm going to make sure I make my packed lunch tonight before I go to bed, so then tomorrow morning I'm not then starting thinking I haven't made my packed lunch and I've got to then rush around in the morning, because then you're in a complete rush and fluster. So then you get to work and then you're below the line. Like, you know, it's those sorts of bits and pieces, and it's those little mini investments you're making in yourself because you think, future me is going to be really grateful I did this, and it's like, and that can be.
I think for like the self-talk thing, I'll use myself as an example, but obviously same for everybody else. Like some of the things you say to yourself on a daily basis, like I say to myself during like things going wrong in basketball, I wouldn't speak to anybody else like that.
Yeah.
So it's like if my teammates are absolutely like stinking up the place playing basketball, I would never speak to them in the same way that I would speak to myself. So it's like, well, don't do it to yourself.
With the exception of the referee.
That's completely different.
Yeah.
But like anything you say to yourself, or like any way you're feeling about yourself, just think like, would you feel like that or speak to another person like that? Because I know I wouldn't during the basketball. It's like, well, why do I speak to myself like it? So yeah, I think it's funny, isn't it? That?
I do think also there's that little bit of personal responsibility as well that has to, because I think I'm in quite a fortunate. I think we're in quite a fortunate position where we've got family, we've got like a support network around us between us of people that we know. I'm quite lucky that good relationship with my in-laws and with sort of various family members. And it's people I can imagine people listening to this and going, well, I don't have that support network around me. I think you made a good point there. So go and find your people then. Go and find your community. Go and create your support network. Like you said, whether it's going to your local running club or whether it's going to a gym, whatever it might be that you're interested. If you're into gardening, there's the gardening club you can go and meet. There's support networks out there. It's just if you're not in a fortunate position like I am, where you have that on your doorstep, you've got to go and kind of put a little bit of effort into to put yourself out there too.
We see it at work, a lot of the things, and I'll start seeing it more and more sadly now at work. Is we see a lot of guys, because a lot of the guys are sort of single guys, live on their own, and it gets a bit like this, and you don't see people. The main thing I'm dealing with is having to help people with is loneliness.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time it's trying to find something. It's like if you are struggling with that, then go and find your tribe. Like find something that interests you, that you've got a passion for. See if there's a local club in the area, or there's an app. I'll find out what it is. We'll put it in the description below. It's almost like a dating app. But it's for adults who want to try different things but have never had the confidence to go and do things. And a guy I used to work with did it. He was divorced. His son had gone off to university, and he sort of felt a bit isolated and a bit cut off from the world. Joined this thing, and then he was going to like salsa dancing and geocaching and hill walking and all this kind of stuff, and made 3 or 4 really good friends through it. But it's a downloadable app. He was the IT guy, so obviously it was an app. But it was. But just go and find that. But your local, I'm big advocate. Even if you don't like running, go to a park run.
Just trot along,
Because even if you get volunteer tokens, most of the time it's someone's celebrating either 100th, 250th, or 500th park run. There will be cake.
Yeah.
You get a bit of fresh air. You'll see some of the most engaging, friendly and supportive people you could have.
Yeah.
But they'll come across, like, we've got Sally at Masses, who's done just shy of 300 park runs, still runs in her mid-80s, has got something like 19 great grandchildren who are all running park run and all that kind of stuff. All the way down to, there was a lad who broke the park run record at Coventry the other day, who was 17. Like, you've got people of all different walks of life. People all do it in 14 minutes, and people will do it in an hour.
Yeah, I think you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, because I've not done one, but I'm pretty sure at a park run, if you're worried about going because you don't like running, you can't be last, can you?
No, they have a designated tail walker.
I know there's a designated last, isn't there?
Who's the person who basically just sweeps along. If you want to go for a walk, if you're, say you've just had a baby or whatever, and you think, I want to go get some fresh air, I need to get some exercise, but I've got no childcare or whatever, put a little in the pushchair. You can sit and have walk around and have a chin wag with a tail walker.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. So it's physically impossible for you to come last because they have a volunteer every week who does it.
I think with the loneliness thing as well, and ties in nice to what the other point I was going to make was, they reckon in the UK at the minute there is a male loneliness epidemic. Like there's a major spike in male loneliness, and like you just said, I'm not going to repeat loads of things, but like go and find something. And I think the other point I was going to make with what can you do is like just be a listener. Like there's, like we just said, there's so many people, thousands, probably millions of people that would do anything just for a pair of ears. So it's like, just if someone is trying to speak to you about that sort of thing, like just you don't have to say anything, but sometimes just getting 1,000 words off someone's chest is all one
just being
person might
sampled.
need. Like
As you say, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
And I always think a lot of the time when you're having that experience in those lows, and you're in your head a little bit, and things aren't great, when you do say them out loud, even if the person that's listening to you says absolutely nothing back, and you just say the things that are on your mind or the things that are affecting you out loud, you all of a sudden go, now I've said it out loud, it doesn't seem
that bad,
that big of a deal anymore.
Actually, I can. Well, in that case, I can do that.
There's a really simple
solve that. Yeah, there's a solution.
Really simple solution to it. But bottling it up, I think you bottle up, and like you say, you get so far into yourself that it can be difficult for there to be any sort of coming back.
Yeah.
I think,
Putting yourself in a position to help yourself is the best.
And I think that there might be people watching this that have tried to speak to somebody before, like we keep saying to do, and maybe it's not worked, so you feel like that person hasn't listened. I think a lot of the time somebody speaks to you about their problems that they're having, there's not any response. Like sometimes there isn't anything you can say, so you might not know anything about that person. Like I might be having a terrible period with basketball, and I speak to this person here and they don't know anything about it, so they can't say anything to do with it. But as long as you've spoken about it, like they have listened,
getting it out,
and you've got it out, like continue to do that, because it does help.
Yeah.
Like even if they don't seem like they care or they're listening, they are listening. They do care.
bro.
Any more?
No, I think obviously the things that we've talked about can be difficult to listen to, difficult to sort of think about, and you might be someone. I know we get a few people that sort of listen to this or tune into this regularly on YouTube. If it is you, if anything has affected you, don't be afraid to reach out. I think most people that watch this on a regular basis probably know one of us anyway.
Yeah.
Get in touch with us, as Dave said, and Josh said, we'll put a shed load of different links and stuff in the description to the various different charities, organisations, everything's out there. Whether it's from a sort of a mental health point of view, which is what we've been talking about, but some of the other things that might contribute to poor mental health. So whether it's an issue of with gambling, with drinking, with any of those things you might be going through, we'll put some links and stuff in the description for this chat, for this video today. But talk to us as well.
Yeah, I think I got some closing things. I found an account last night on TikTok. It came up, I didn't find it. It's called Kobe-tivity. So it's so random, but it's basically random photos of Kobe Bryant that someone's got, and on the top of them there's just random quotes, but they've got nothing to do with the photos and have nothing to do with Kobe Bryant. So I'm not they're random. And some of the quotes I say, some of them sound super cringe, but I was like, some of them are really good. So the first one is, that photo of Kobe, which doesn't have anything to do with...
It's like he's watching a basketball game or something, isn't it?
It just says, worrying is like paying interest on a debt you may never owe. And I like that one.
There we go, that's quite good, isn't it?
And then there's another one that says, a secret to happiness is letting every situation be what it is instead of what you think it should be, and making the best of it. Nice. This was from a different account. This last one I read, this isn't mental health, but I thought it was funny. It just says, one idiot is one idiot, 2 idiots are 2 idiots, 10,000 idiots are a political party. I just thought that's quite
good. I like that one.
This one is to do with mental health. It says, no man ever steps in the same river twice, for it is never the same man and not the same river. I like that.
That's
very
deep.
A good thing.
Very deep.
But yeah, go for it. That's my Kobe-tivity.
And before we go, 'cause we've got to finish with something that was pretty good, pretty funny. We've got to finish with something a little bit daft. I'm going to throw it at Dave. Give us your tall icons, Dave.
Tall icons.
Tall icons.
Oh God, who did it? You told me I wasn't allowed JJ Watt.
You're not allowed JJ Watt.
So,
I love JJ Watt, great player.
Favouritism. Ayana at 5'11" was allowed apparently last week. JJ Watt at 6'5", inch short, wasn't allowed.
He's not in the tall club.
Who did I have? I think I commented on it, didn't I? In terms of saying who it was.
You did, yeah.
Richard Osman.
What a guy.
I think it's rare you come across people who are that intelligent but have good comedic timing. He's a really good TV presenter. Richard Osman's House of Games is one of my favourite TV shows. I think, and I've just watched Thursday Murder Club, which was brilliant. Who else? Oh God, don't do this to me. And they can't be the people you've already named, can they?
No, it'll be different as well.
Yeah, who else did we have?
Did you comment on the video?
Yeah.
Did you? So I'm trying to find it.
Must be. Yeah, I wonder if it's on. Find who you had. See people on the edge of their seats now, waiting to see Dave's.
This is great content. I'm going to
Brilliant, isn't it? Yeah.
I've got it. I've got yours.
Okay.
It is Richard Osman, like you said. You did say JJ Watt and in brackets 6'5", but I'll give him some thick socks.
Yeah.
You then had Venus Williams.
Yeah, I mean,
what an
absolute legend.
You then had Katie Ledecky.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're not in, I'm not the biggest swimming fan, but a female swimmer who I think holds the top 40 fastest 800 and 1500 metre times in history, and was that dominant in her peak. She had to train with the men and was still better than half of them.
Have you seen the video of the swimming at length of the pool with a pint of milk on top of it?
And she can do a length of swimming with a glass of chocolate milk on the back of her head.
And
if that doesn't say anything you need to know.
And your last one was Ryan Stiles.
Oh, Ryan Stiles. Whose line is it anyway? And he plays Herb in 2.5 Men. And he just has me in stitches. He's really funny. He also plays the explosives expert in Hot Shots. And he says, when I get out of this war, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to build myself a nice big house, white picket fence, get myself some dynamite and blow the shit out.
Great line.
Yeah. So
that's a good note to finish with, I think. But thanks for watching. As I say, if anything sort of struck a chord with you today, don't hesitate to get in touch. Don't hesitate to use the links that we'll put in the description below, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much, everyone. Cheers, Dave.
Thanks,
Thank
Dave.
you.
Yeah.